Hello and thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend, we walk you through the headlines from the past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
We have reached out to all parties involved in the video and also to a law enforcement expert for analysis.
This video filmed by Kayla Somariba shows federal immigration agents, some uniformed and some in plainclothes, break the windows of their SUV.
You can!
Somariba says this happened on March 10th near this intersection in Spokane Valley as she, her husband, and her brother-in-law were on their way to a hearing for a case not related to immigration.
Maybe like 12 officers ended up, surrounding us. There was at least like 2 or 3 in every window. And I lower my window to talk to them and, asking politely, like, officers, why are you stopping us? What is the reason for this? And I'm already reading on their vest that it says ICE.
It's illegal! It's legal!
Somariba says she kept asking to see a warrant or any documentation from the agents.
Obviously, if you have a warrant for their arrest, they have to go. But didn't show us anything, no proof that there was actually anything.
We reached out to an ICE spokesperson who said, quote, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested 2 men whom we are not naming because they have not been charged with a crime, both citizens of Nicaragua and suspected members of Tren de Aragua. The aliens resisted officers during the arrest and failed to obey a lawful order to exit a vehicle, which resulted in forced entry by ICE officers. The statement continues to say one of the men has been arrested in Spokane County for felony harassment with a weapon and that he has been ordered removed from the U.S. by an immigration judge. ICE says the other man was previously arrested for burglary, malicious mischief, drive-by shooting, and threatening to kill. When asked if there were any warrants or supporting documentation, ICE did not respond. We reached out to John Urquhart, former King County Sheriff and King 5's law enforcement analyst. Urquhart says the agents did not break any laws when they broke the windows, as they had probable cause to arrest the 2 men. We reached out to an immigration attorney and professor at Seattle U who said, quote, ICE officers can arrest someone in public spaces without an ICE warrant if they have probable cause that the person is deportable. ICE claims they did have that probable cause. We circled back to Somariba, who is a U.S. citizen and 7 months pregnant. She vehemently denies her husband and her brother-in-law's affiliation with any gangs.
I'm 100% sure that they are not part, of a gang. My husband would wake up, go to work, come back. Sometimes he would, hang out with his friends. It's a normal thing that a 25-year-old's gonna do, a 26-year-old.
Somariba is a U.S. citizen, and she says she was not arrested or pulled out of the vehicle. We know the 2 men have been taken to the ICE processing facility in Tacoma. The Northwest Immigrant Rights Project says they are doing an assessment to find out what happens next for the 2 men detained there. In Seattle, Sharon Yu, KREM 2 News.
State Attorney's General Office filed the lawsuit. The AG's office say the county is violating the Keep Washington Working Act, which is an act of state law passed in 2019. It requires the rights of all state residents be protected by restricting the role local law enforcement has on federal immigration laws. The state is saying Adams County, specifically the sheriff's office, violated the law. Court documents say the state says for the past 2 years, Adams County deputies have engaged in incidents where they have shared private information with federal immigration agencies and have detained people based only on their immigration status. Documents go on to say State Attorney General Nick Brown has attempted to resolve these issues, but says Adams County is claiming the Keep Washington Working Act conflicts with current federal immigration laws after the inauguration of President Donald Trump. The county also says they are aligning with America First Legal, which is a group opposing sanctuary policies. Adams County Sheriff Wagner released a statement on the matter, saying in part, our deputies take an oath to protect our communities from criminal activity, regardless of where it originates. The claim that we are engaging in illegal federal immigration enforcement misrepresents the reality of law enforcement in Adams County. Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown released a statement as well, saying in part, after the inauguration of Donald Trump, the county and its sheriff's office suddenly hardened their stance. broke off settlement talks and aligned themselves with an organization founded by a top Trump aide who is among the most virulent anti-immigrant voices in the administration. The lawsuit seeks injunctive and declaratory relief to compel Adams County to comply with the law. We're still working to speak with the state on the matter. We reached out to Adams County Sheriff's Office for comment, but have not heard back. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Let's get you caught up on news from the Idaho legislature.
We're trying to be the best stewards that we can with the money that we bring in taxes.
That's why Republican Representative Jaron Crane wants to create a Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, a name that probably sounds familiar.
We begin to talk a lot about DOGE.
Crane and his co-sponsor modeled the legislation after the new billionaire-led federal department tasked with cutting spending.
What we saw them doing on a national level made us take a look internally and say we probably should do something.
If signed into law, a 9-person task force with lawmakers from both chambers would try to, quote, enhance the effectiveness and accountability of government spending and operation in Idaho.
There's the deep dive into the baseline of the budget. Then there's the regulatory element. What can we look at with the regulations, whether it's rules, moving them into statute? What rules do we need? What do we not need? And then there's government oversight and efficiency. What are we doing as a government that could be done better?
When you move regulations and rules into statute, you're essentially taking away the responsibility of the executive branch and you're giving it to the legislature.
Democratic Representative Steve Birch is one of 23 lawmakers that voted against the bill on the floor this week.
I don't think any committee chairperson should tell anyone in this body what they need to do.
It passed to the Senate after roughly 40 minutes of discussion.
This will give us another tool to examine what's going on.
I just feel like I cannot support something that we already have the ability to do.
To borrow DOGE trying to solve a $36 trillion deficit and just kind of take that and apply it to a state that's never in debt, it's kind of an apples and oranges, even though it has the same name.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. It's been a busy week across the Inland Northwest, and we want to help catch you up on some stories you might have missed. Let's get you caught up on news from the Washington legislature.
Washington renters could see a limit to how much their rent increases each year if House Bill 1217 becomes law. It's making significant progress already, passing the House with a final vote of 54-42.
Washington House Bill 1217 would prohibit landlords from raising a tenant's rent more than 7% annually. The rent control proposal would also require landlords to give 90 days notice before increasing rent. Supporters say this is a balanced approach, giving landlords predictability and renters stability. But opponents claim policies like this lead to higher rents, fewer available units, and worsens homelessness.
I'm a 64-year-old disabled low-income senior.
Tina Hammond is a Spokane renter who testified in support of this bill in January. She told the Housing Committee she made hard choices last year to offset the 12% increase to her rent.
It took 3 months to come up with a workable plan so I can restart my meds. My solution is to turn off my heat at night. There were mornings last winter when I woke up to 42 degrees in my home.
Testimonies like this are why Democratic Representative Natasha Hill of Spokane supports this rent control bill.
We know that the astronomical rent increases that we've had, particularly in Spokane, have literally priced people out of the homes that they've been in for a long time. So with these kind of increases, we had to do something to stabilize our market. And so this was a really easy yes.
But Republican Representative Suzanne Schmidt says similar rent control policies proved unsuccessful in cities like San Francisco and Minneapolis.
We've had several developers from inside Washington state and outside of Washington state that are saying that if this bill passes, they will no longer build here.
She believes the only way to bring down the cost of rent is building more units. Here's a look at how Eastern Washington representatives voted on the bill. All Republican lawmakers voted against it or were excused. But District 3's Democratic lawmakers, Natasha Hill and Tim Ornsby, voted in support.
Now, the bill still needs to clear the Senate. Right now, it sits before the Senate Ways and Means Committee. In the newsroom, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
No one seems to like this idea, even the Democrat who is behind the proposal. Republicans say it will hurt the state, and college students say school is already expensive enough.
This is something that we're fighting for and that we're not giving up.
Ashley Ramirez studies law and policy at the University of Washington's Tacoma campus, but she's also a full-time lobbyist at the Capitol, representing students who she just informed may have to pay more for college.
A lot of them were silent and they just didn't know what to say, didn't know what to expect.
She says the state should expect to see more dropouts if the proposed hike passes. Community colleges and the state's public four-year institutions are limited in how much tuition can be raised. It's tied to the state's median wage. But a proposal would allow for 5% additional increases starting in the 2026-27 school year.
Why would we vote to tax working families and kids trying to get ahead?
Republican Senator Mark Schessler was prepared to fight Democrats against tax increases, but he says he was shocked to hear about potentially rising tuition.
This is contradictory to everything they've told us. Tax the wealthy, tax the rich, tax the corporations. This is taxing the middle class and the poor, which is the exact opposite of everything they've proposed in taxes.
The size of the budget hole requires that I look broadly at all options.
Democratic Senator June Robinson heads up the Senate's Budget Committee. She says facing a potential $15 billion deficit, legislators need to look at cuts, tax increases, and even tuition hikes.
I'm definitely not excited about it. I'm not excited about a lot of the decisions that I'm making every day. But it's my job to present a balanced budget. I'm looking at all possibilities. A small tuition increase is one of those possibilities.
That senator called it a small tuition increase. Republicans say it would result in about $700 more a year for all University of Washington students. In Olympia, Drew Mickelson, King 5 News.
Well, a 30-inch main water line along North Freya Street will be worked on starting today through this summer, and cars have already been stopped as they hit that detour sign. Now, the project is going to be happening between Garland to Wellesley Avenue, but the city says that this is to improve both the roadways, the sidewalks, and for storm management features. But what does this mean for our drivers and their commutes? Well, drivers traveling south on North Freya will detour west at East Wellesley Avenue to Haven Street and continue southbound to North Market Street. Drivers will then reconnect with North Freya from East Euclid Avenue. If you are driving north on North Freya Street, however, you will detour west at East Euclid Avenue to North Market Street and continue north. You will reconnect with North Freya from East Wellesley Avenue. And a few other things, the city wants drivers to drive slow, be aware, and be alert of all the detour signs around. Businesses and post offices will still have local access. And if you're going to the Esmeralda Golf Course, you will still have access from North Freya Street via East Euclid Avenue, as well as East Frederick Avenue. I'm reporting in North Spokane on North Freya Street. Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Still ahead on the Week in Review.
The Zags lock up their 27th straight NCAA tournament berth. Just an incredible run for Mark Few and co.
Hello, I'm Cody Proctor. Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News. You're watching the Week in Review, where we bring you some of the biggest news stories of the past week. Let's get you the latest from Gonzaga.
Well, who knew the hero to finally lift Gonzaga past St. Mary's for the first time in over a year would be the game's surprise starter. What a performance by Gonzaga redshirt sophomore big man Braden Huff, who did not find out he would start in the game until late Monday night. He would go on to lead the Zags with 18 points while battling down low with Mitchell Saxon and Harry Wessels, and he even hit the lone three-pointer made in the game. Huff has said all year long he just wants to spark the team when he comes in off the bench, and in his second start ever, he did exactly that.
And my motto all year has just been stay ready. I mean, my roles look different each game, whether I'm coming off the bench, starting, but whatever I can do to help the team win has kind of been my thing all year. I've just tried to stay confident in my game all year. The coaches have been awesome. They've been telling me to look for my shot, be aggressive all season long. So just having them have that confidence in me has been huge. And yeah, just be aggressive, look for my shot, because I feel like most of the time when it goes up, it's a pretty good look for our team.
That's very professional of him, you know. He stays consistent. He works on his game every day, and sometimes his number's not called because you got someone like Graham who just delivers night in and night out. So for him to come in the starting lineup and deliver like that is huge for us. We need every single bucket.
It was also a big game for Caleb Battle, who had 14 points and threw down the emphatic alley-oop from Nolan Hickman to seal the deal for GU.
It was like a dream. You know, today I was kind of mad when I had missed the left-hand layup. I was like, damn, I should have dunked that. So for me to get the steal at the end and Nolan to throw it up, I knew when he caught it, I was going to hawk it down. I knew he was going to throw it up. So for that to happen and the fans to go wild, you know, Zags have the best fans in the world, and they're super cheerful, super loud, so that meant the world. It's like a dream come true.
So the Zags lock up their 27th straight NCAA tournament berth. Just an incredible run for Mark Few and co. Now the Zags will await their fate and see who they will play to begin tournament play coming up on Selection Sunday on March 16th. For now, reporting at an electric Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Andrew Quinn, KREM 2 Sports.
Welcome back. Before we wrap up this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review, we want to remind you that you can get the latest newscasts and weather forecasts anytime on KREM 2 Plus. It is free to watch and download for Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Now here's one more story before we go.
If they reach out from the top of their den, that's your face level. They can have your eye before you react.
This is a field trip with a purpose.
That direction is our foxes.
The nonprofit group Heart spent a few hours recently walking through the Mead Animal Park cattails to learn not just about what they do, but how they as an organization can help.
Cat is up front, this gate is closed.
But how they as an organization can help.
It's just a great partnership to be able to include in our planning and contingency and preparation for stuff.
A focus for Heart is to help rescue animals in the time of crisis, keeping everything from cats to cows safe, whether it's man-made or a natural disaster.
And then access road and then our gates.
Big and powerful, the animals at Cattails look invincible, but the park is nestled amongst towering pines. That is cause for concern in a region vulnerable to wildfires.
We're obviously not zookeepers, but we'll be able to come alongside them and help them facilitate an evacuation or a shelter-in-place situation if that's what arises.
Recent catastrophic fires weren't far from the area of Cattails, with the Oregon Road fire in nearby Elk, which destroyed 365 homes.
So the startle of the dart started the adrenaline in the system.
With crisis in mind, collaboration becomes key, according to Cattails Executive Director Lisa Gray.
If a fire concern is coming closer, being able to keep this amount of property soaked down, wet, and hopefully resistant to flame that's a lot of man hours and time, and so if I can have a group of people that can be trusted to utilize our space, that's a huge help.
This is a red gate?
This is not a red gate. This is a usable gate.
The tour was the first step in forging a partnership.
There's all sorts of elements that we can't control, so just doing the best to control the things we can control and be ready for them should that contingency arrive.
That could potentially help keep these cats and other animals safe if the time of crisis ever comes. Reporting in Meade, Laura Papetti, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Keep it here on KREM 2 for more news throughout the weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching.